Hey, I'm going to show you how to perform the most common polyrhythm with the technique you can apply to any polyrhythm. Let's get to it. This video was made possible by the generous support of patrons of this channel. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please consider donating via the link in the description. Thanks. Polyrhythms might seem complex, but they actually stem from a pretty straightforward idea: contrasting division of the beat. Imagine I divide the beat in twos. I get eighth notes. And also divide the beat in threes to get triplets. If I perform both of these rhythms at the same time, that's a polyrhythm. And polyrhythms feel destabilizing, bubbling with excitement, in a way that standard rhythms can't readily replicate. Now, if you perform eighth notes against 16th notes, say, you don't get a polyrhythm. And that's because the 16th note derives from the eighth note. You just divide the eighth note in two again. So just to make sure that we're clear on what a polyrhythm is, let's take an example. 6 against 2, an eighth note against a sextuplet, isn't a polyrhythm. You just divide the eighth note into 3 pieces, and you've got your sextuplet. The one figure derives from the other. And this figure is easy to perform. Every time you have an eighth note, you evenly space 3 notes within that time. By contrast, something like 5 against 2 is a polyrhythm. You can't multiply 2 by any whole number and get 5. They're 2 fundamentally different subdivisions of the beat. Hint 2, and 5. And when you put them together, their relationship is complex. And the feeling and effect generated is really interesting. But because the rhythms aren't derived from one another, how do you successfully perform something like this? For many musicians, it's not as straightforward as just practicing the 2 rhythmic figures apart and then spontaneously being able to do them at the same time. Well, if the non-polyrhythms are easy to perform because you can relate the one figure to the other and both of them to the beat, with polyrhythms, we just need a figure that's common to both, and we'll relate our rhythms to that. So let's start with 3 against 2, probably the most common polyrhythm. If we subdivide the beat down to 6, the smallest multiple 3 and 2 have in common, then we have a rhythmic figure that relates to both the eighth note and the triplet. The eighth note occurs every 3 ticks on 1 and 4, and the triplets occur every other tick on 1, 3, and 5. We have a grid that has a fine enough resolution that both of our rhythmic figures will map onto it. So let's try it. So first we establish our beat, slow for now. And now we subdivide it into 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's our grid. Now tap with your right hand on 1 and 4. 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. Against the beat, these are your eighth notes. Now you can let that rest a moment. We're going to get the left hand going on 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Against the beat, these are triplets. Now, let's see if we can do both at the same time. Right hand tapping on 1 and 4, left hand 1, 3, and 5. Both left, right, left. Both left, right, left. Now I'm going to take away the guide, but you keep going. Remember, right hand, 1, 4, 1, 4. Left, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. And together, both left, right, left, both left, right, left. Now I'm going to gradually increase the tempo. drop the grid. In case you've lost it. Great. You just performed a polyrhythm. Now 3 against 2 is a really common polyrhythm, but it's not the only one. There's 4 against 3, 5 against 2, 7 against 4, and lots of other combinations. But the method we just used works on any polyrhythm. 7 against 2, find the lowest common multiple, 14. Start a beat. Subdivide it into 14 pieces. The septuplets will land on the odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. The eighth notes will land on 1 and 8. Seven against 2 is weird. You almost never see it. But all the same, we can figure out how to perform it precisely against a beat. And same with any other polyrhythm.
All right, that's it for this time. If you'd like some additional exercises on polyrhythms, check out my Patreon page. Make sure you subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching. I'm Sahir Galt. I'll see you next time.